Have you ever wondered why Americans drive on the right side of the road while the British and a few others stick to the left? It's one of those everyday quirks we take for granted, yet the reasons behind it are deeply rooted in history, colonial power, technological shifts, and even the rise of the automobile. In this video, we'll uncover the fascinating backstory behind this global divide as we explore why America switched to right-hand driving, but the UK didn't. If you're into automotive history, strange global contrasts, or simply love unraveling the why behind everyday things, hit subscribe and tap that bell icon so you don't miss what's next. The origins of left-hand driving in the UK and beyond. To understand why America eventually chose the right side of the road, we first need to explore why the left side was historically favoured, especially in the UK. Believe it or not, the habit of left side travel goes back thousands of years, even to the days of the Roman Empire. Archaeological evidence shows that Roman chariots often kept to the left. Why? Well, most people are right-handed. Soldiers and knights preferred to keep their dominant hand closer to any oncoming threat, which meant travelling on the left so they could draw their sword quickly if needed. Fast forward to medieval Britain and the tradition continued. Knights rode on the left side of the roads for the same reason, defensive readiness. Even when wagons became more common in the 18th century, coachmen would sit on the right-hand side and use whips with their right hand, which made it easier to control the horses while keeping to the left side of the road. This historical momentum eventually got codified. In 1835, Britain officially passed the Highway Act, mandating that all traffic must keep to the left. Other countries in the British Empire, such as India, Australia and Japan, also adopted left-hand driving. So for the UK and its colonies, left-side travel became part of national identity, practicality and legal tradition. But across the Atlantic, a very different story was unfolding, one that would take a sharp turn to the right. Early American transportation and the shift to the right. In the early days of the American colonies, roads were rough and largely unregulated. There were no painted lines or uniform rules. People simply kept to whichever side was most convenient, or least rutted. But as the country grew and wagons became essential for moving goods across vast distances, a subtle shift began. Unlike British carriages, American freight wagons, especially the massive Conestoga wagons used in Pennsylvania, had no driver's seat. Instead, the driver would sit on the rear left horse or walk alongside the team. Why the left? Again, because most drivers were right-handed and needed that hand free to wield a whip or manage the reins. To get a clear view of oncoming traffic, it made sense for them to keep their wagon to the right-hand side of the road. This right-side travel wasn't official yet, but it quickly became the norm in places like New York and Pennsylvania by the late 1700s. Then came the watershed moment in 1792. Pennsylvania passed a law requiring vehicles to stay to the right on public roads. Other states followed, and by the early 19th century, the majority of the United States was legally driving on the right. What's interesting is how this choice wasn't made by a royal decree or based on military tradition like in Britain. It was driven by practicality, by the needs of farmers, merchants and frontiersmen. It was organic, born out of everyday logistics, not law books or legacies. As America industrialized and expanded westward, that right-hand habit stuck. But things really solidified when the automobile came along. The role of automakers and the Ford Model T. When the automobile era kicked off in the late 1800s and early 1900s, there was no international standard for which side the steering wheel should be on, or which side of the road people should drive on. That all changed when Henry Ford introduced the Model T in 1908. Before the Model T, many early American cars had the steering wheel in the centre or even on the right side, like British vehicles. But Ford made a strategic decision to place the steering wheel on the left side of the car. Why? Because his vision was mass adoption and he wanted to ensure safer, more efficient road behaviour for the majority of people who were already used to driving on the right side of the road. By putting the steering wheel on the left, Ford gave drivers a better view of oncoming traffic, easier roadside exiting for passengers, and more intuitive placement for right-side driving. The Model T's success, over 15 million sold, cemented the layout and helped codify the driving norm across the US. This was a key turning point. What was once a loose, informal practice now had the backing of the most powerful car maker in the world. Other American automakers followed suit, and once car design was standardized, traffic laws followed quickly behind. So while the British Empire clung to its traditions, America fully leaned into the industrial future, one paved with wide roads, fast cars, and a right-hand driving philosophy shaped by innovation, not inheritance. The influence of automotive innovation and infrastructure. Let's talk tech, because the way countries drive isn't just about history and habit, it's also about how roads evolved and how the auto industry influenced decisions. The US was at the forefront of mass-producing cars, with giants like Ford setting the standard. When cars became widely affordable, the country needed better infrastructure fast. Wider roads, standardized signage, and safer rules for two-way traffic. And guess what? Designing all that with right-hand driving in mind just made sense since cars had steering wheels on the left. Meanwhile, the UK held on to its traditional roadways and customs. Roads in British cities were narrower, often built long before cars existed. Left-hand driving suited the older road layouts. There was less reason to change, and when you're the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, you don't shift gears without a strong reason. In a way, car manufacturers and infrastructure planners were shaping how people drove, just as much as governments were. America was expanding fast, with endless land and new cities designed for vehicles from the ground up. Europe, and especially the UK, was dealing with existing cities, tight roads, and a history stretching back centuries. So while America raced into the future with right-hand driving, the UK stayed firmly rooted in its tried and true ways. Global divide and where it's headed. Today, about 2/3 of the world drives on the right, but that doesn't mean the divide is fading. Some countries like Japan, Australia, and India still drive on the left, not out of stubbornness, but due to historical ties, colonial influence, and even practical reasons like safety for pedestrians or legacy road designs. It's not just tradition for the sake of tradition, it's what works best for the roads, the people, and the culture. What's fascinating is how this impacts global car manufacturing. Automakers need to produce two versions of each car, one with the wheel on the left, one on the right. That affects costs, exports, even what cars are available in which countries. It's a logistical dance that keeps the auto industry juggling, and it's one of the hidden reasons why global car design isn't as unified as we might expect in today's interconnected world. Could the world ever switch to one standard side? It's unlikely. The cost, complexity, and sheer inconvenience would be massive. In fact, more countries are doubling down on their current system and updating infrastructure accordingly. So this split we see today, it's probably here to stay. A quirky but deeply rooted example of how history and geography continue to shape our modern lives. So next time you travel or look at a foreign car, just remember, there's a fascinating story behind why America switched to right-hand driving, but the UK didn't. It's not just about where the wheel sits, it's about centuries of culture, innovation, and adaptation. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more content just like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.